Thank you for choosing this workshop. One Security Department is very proud to be here to present and serving those who serve. A lot of our employees do serve the veteran population, so we do have a message to share with all of you. Sam Mitchell is going to be presenting on Operation Military Culture. He's the administrator at Worksource JBLM, the only behind the gate job center across the United States. Behind the gate. We're going to be clapping again in just a second because, as we heard from Kemi Peak this morning, that they won the Mark Sanders Award. And I don't think that everyone knows what the Mark Sanders Award is, right? Basically, it is the best job center across the whole United States.
Wow.
Right? Think about all those job centers. Every state. Look, California has like 50 more job centers than we do just in our state alone. And not only did he win them, not he, but him and his team won the Mark Sanders Award. This is the second time that Worksource JBLM has won this award. And one of the things that really pushed them over the limit of what got them the award and won the award is Operation Military Culture. So this is a very interesting topic, and I hope you enjoy it. Sam Mitchell, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, no, as if there wasn't enough pressure with my boss sitting in the front row and some regional directors. So, can everybody hear me in the back? Because I don't like to use mics. So if I start falling off, just let me know. If I fall asleep, don't fall asleep with me. Wake me up. But yeah, to go back to what Seth said, yes, we did win that award, and it was a big we. It was a very powerful team. It was powerful leadership that allowed us to innovate and to do the things we did. And it was powerful partners, one sitting here in the second row, that were part of that award. We have 7 partners under that umbrella. So just wanted to put that out there. It definitely wasn't me winning an award. I was just honored to be able to be on stage with others to get to accept the award. So with that, our topic today is one that's very close to us on Joint Base Lewis and McChord, and I'll call it JBLM. Hopefully everybody knows it's the 4th largest base in the nation. So hopefully everybody's aware of that. But so if you hear me say JBLM, that's Joint Base Lewis and McChord. It's just what we're used to. So we saw a need, the team at JBLM, us and our partners. We saw a need that, you know, we were providing excellent services inside the gate because that's what we did. That was our population. Those are the people we saw day in and day out, military spouses, transitioning service members, military family members that were working age. So we were providing good employment services to them. But when they got out the gate, we worried because we had a lot of people, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, that didn't have that military cultural experience. And sometimes people were just uneasy with addressing folks that come from a military background and those families that come from a military background. Because if you watch the news, you know what gets talked about with the military. It's everything that's bad tends to make the headlines. And that can be scary. That can be scary if you don't come from this background. So we had 2 needs that we needed to meet. One, we're a very small team with a big mission. So we were looking at what's a good way to get some augmentation here, and we had a lot of folks outside the gate that are like, we'd love to come in and help you. So this Operation Military Culture was going to solve that for one, because it was going to bring more people in to share in what we do. But number 2, and probably more importantly, it was going to give folks that didn't have exposure to the military, give them an opportunity to get firsthand knowledge, to experience the challenges and the attributes that military people bring to the table to our employers. So with that, next slide, please. So what I'll talk about today is I'll talk a little bit about our what. What is Operation Military Culture? I'll talk about the why, the reasons, and I'll give you some statistics that tell you kind of what we saw and why we thought this was an important program to bring to our compatriots outside the gate that do the same business as us. Then you'll get to hear some of the specifics on how we implemented. Hopefully it doesn't put you to sleep, but it's important to know that it doesn't just happen, especially on a military base. There's a whole lot of logistics, and I'll give credit to a couple people that do those logistics. Everything from getting access to the base, to getting access to our various applications and things where we record our business and so forth, to doing the training and the immersions and getting people out to the experience and the schedule. I mean, there's just a whole lot of moving pieces to doing something like this. Then I'll talk a little bit about what our graduates say, and you'll get to see some testimonials from our first 3 graduates of the program. Our 4th participant starts tomorrow, so they'll be going through the program, and you'll hear about what that means in a minute here. What's next? We'll talk a little bit about what we see on the horizon for Operation Military Culture and how we'd like to expand it. And lastly, what I really want to hear is your thoughts, your ideas, and I'd like this to be a conversation throughout. So if something pops in your head or you have a question as I talk, there's enough time in this presentation for me to entertain questions. And if we do get behind, I'll kind of reel that back in and we'll get on course. So the last thing I want to do is I want to frame this up in your minds. So as we go through this, think about this as an immersion program. Yes, this is about military veterans and military families, but this could be about any population that we serve. It could be reentry, it could be temporary to needy families, it could be any population that you serve, homeless. Immersion is not just a veteran thing. Oh, that's next door. I was like, that doesn't sound like my phone going off on my bag, and I think I had it silenced. So I'll try to talk louder than the people next door. Yeah, I couldn't tell what it was. I only hear half of it. Okay, I'll be glad to. Testing. All right. Yeah, I'm an old radio operator, so I can do this. So what is Operation Military Culture? So it's a voluntary experience. So it's folks that are out in our region right now, but we're looking to expand this, as I'll talk about a little later, in our region, which covers Pierce and King County, some of the biggest population centers in our state. So it's an opportunity for them to volunteer, people that are working in the American Job Centers, the Worksource offices out across the region, to come in if they don't have military experience, come inside the gates, do what we do for a little bit, get some training, get some opportunities to get out and meet our partners, get out and do some of the events that we do inside the gates and outside the gates for our population of military spouses and military members primarily. So it promotes a better understanding of what we do, and the dream is that when they go back to where they work, that they're going to bring that message with them. They're going to talk to their counterparts, and they're going to make people just a little bit more comfortable, and hopefully encourage them to come spend time with us as well. So it's a 12-day experience across a 90-day period. So it could be 12 days in a row, or it could be the lady that's starting tomorrow. She's going to be doing once a week for 12 weeks. And the reason we base it on a 90-day period is because that's the standard time for a base access. So that's as much as we can get them in the gate without having to restart that. So a pretty big commitment, but I think a valued commitment, and you'll see that from our testimonials a little later. Slide, please. So a little bit about our why. So about 1% of the U.S. population serves in the military. So that's a pretty small number, 1 out of 100 people. So if typically our job centers are anywhere from, small like ours, about 8 people, up to about 20, 30, sometimes a little more than 30 people. So the chances are not too many of those folks have served in the military and have that experience to be able to relate and to speak in military talk. So that's one of the reasons we saw a need for this. And as you saw in David Puente's his briefing this morning, only about 7% of Washingtonians have served in the military. So that's a pretty small number in a big scale. So that was one of the reasons that we thought it would be important to do something like this, to give that extra exposure to that other 99% or 93% in our state. About 70% of veterans seeking services through the American Job Center don't qualify for intensive services, which that service is provided by a Disabled Veterans Outreach Program representative, and hopefully some of you probably know what that is, some of you don't, but that's basically a case manager that helps veterans get past significant barriers to employment. And that could be anything from homelessness to a history of incarceration, low income, low education level. There's a pretty long list of them. But about 70% are seen by other folks, and those other folks more than likely are not veterans and may not be as comfortable as they could be in having those conversations. So Washington is the home of about 78,000 service members, and primarily those are at JBLM, but we have 4 other major bases and Coast Guard scattered along our coastline as well. So we're pretty big in service members that are actively serving. Each year we put out about 6,000 to 7,000 at Joint Base Lewis and McChord alone. And about half of those, 48%, stay in our state. So that's pretty impressive. Those are people that are coming right back into our workforce. So we feel it's important that we're giving them the attention they need to make that experience positive. And according to the Society for Human Resource Management, about 90% of veterans say they faced trouble looking for employment when they came out the gate, when they integrated into our workforce. So our whole idea is we want to get upstream in that process. We want to engage as early as possible, and we want the folks that are outside the gate to be able to do the same. Because about 70% of the people who work on Joint Base Lewis McChord and our other bases, those families live outside the gate. There isn't enough housing for them to all be inside the gate. So they're living in our communities, they're using the resources in our communities. So we felt it was important to give that opportunity for the folks that are staffing those resources in our communities to be able to come in and experience what the military culture looks like. Next slide, please. So who's this important to? It's important to our nation's defense. So there was a Times article published a few years back that talks about the military as a family business. And the reason they say that is the Department of Defense reports that about 80% of people that serve in the military, 80% have an immediate family member who also served. So what does that mean? That means the folks coming out the gate are our recruiters. They're the recruiters of the future force. So if they have a bad experience and they end up homeless in your parking lot, are they going to ask their sons, their daughters, their nieces, and their nephews to join the military? Probably not. So that's our future force that we're talking about. So it's important to our national defense. It's important to our employers. I mean, how many veterans are out here? And how many of you that have your hands up had more than one job in the military? Just about all of you. Yeah, so the flexibility, the resilience, all the soft skills that you bring to the workforce, that's what our employers need. And we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can to understand what those attributes are and that we're able to communicate that to those employers. It's important to our workplaces. Diversity is a big thing, and diversity includes all populations. And we want our workplaces to look like our community. So if we've got 100 people in our company, we should have 7 veterans. So it's important that we're getting that word out and that we're educating the folks that are serving those veterans to help communicate that. All right, so a little bit about the logistics, and I'll try not to tire you with this because it's a lot of information, but I do want to acknowledge 2 people that make this happen, and they're not in the room. They're back at work while I'm out here goofing off. But Joanne Inwall is a supervisor in our office, and she does a lot of the training. She does the negotiations, I'll call it, with the offices that are giving up these folks because it's a big commitment to let somebody go for 12 days. That's almost 100 hours, 100 work hours. So I think it's 96. Don't ask me to do math in public, but I believe that's what it is. So yeah, so that's a big commitment. She's doing those pieces. She's doing the training. And then we have Vera Peterson, who's our administrative assistant extraordinaire. And she's doing a lot of logistics, getting them access to the different electronic devices they need to be able to use, and everything else that comes with the job they're going to be doing for those 12 days. So those are the unsung heroes. I just get to be the guy that gets up here and talks about it and takes credit for all they do. So that's kind of cool for me. Yep, back up, please. So there's a lot of scheduling that goes on. There's a lot of training that goes on. It's 12 days solid. There is no rest in there. So, and I'll talk a little bit about what those 12 days entail here in just a second. All right, next slide, please. So we have an intake desk, and basically this is our first connection with the military member when they come in. So they come in, they go through a triage process, and we figure out what their needs are. And in most cases, we do employment. That's one small part of what our partnership does. Their needs may be something that USO can do with all the family counseling and things that they do, and the advanced training and certifications. I mean, we've got other partners. The State Department of Veterans Affairs are one of our hosts here today. They're doing service-connected disability ratings and helping with all that. So typically when they come into that desk, we're figuring out what are all their needs. We're not just looking at their employment needs, because we're a partnership. And if we don't fix all of those potential barriers to employment, going to work's not going to fix it. So that's what that front desk does. So they're going to have an opportunity. Our participants have an opportunity to work that desk. They get trained. They spend a couple days of very intense training, and then they're thrown right in the pool. And so very important role, probably the most important role in our office. So this is the opportunity they get. Additionally, they're going to get to shadow some of our team members. So all of our interactions with veterans are one-on-one. If anybody's familiar with the TAP, or Transition Assistance Program mission, the Department of Defense and Department of Labor partner to do this. They do a lot of very top-notch classroom training on leaving the military and entering the civilian workforce. Great stuff, really top-notch. They talk about benefits, they talk about building a resume and all that kind of stuff, but it's in a classroom setting. And people walk out of there, and I can tell you their eyes are just huge. They're just like, I don't know where to go with all this. So what we're there for is we're that individual piece, that one-on-one. We can sit down, our team can sit down and talk with them one-on-one about what their family's needs are, what they've done in the military, how that translates. And then they walk away with a smile. At least we like to think so. So that's an opportunity that they get to as part of this immersion program. They'll sit in there with the approval of that customer. They'll sit there during those one-on-one conversations, and they'll hear that worry, and then they'll see that hope as they walk away. So it's pretty powerful stuff. They'll get to meet and learn about the partners. We have some amazing partners, and that's what makes it all work. Employment, as I said, is a very small piece of the puzzle for somebody coming out of the military. It's an important piece. It's foundational. But if you don't have a place to lay your head when you go out the gate, you're probably not going to have an alarm clock to get up to go to work. So there are a lot of other pieces that come into this that they get an opportunity to be a part of. They're going to get out and they're going to meet one-on-one with those other partners. Everything in this is a conversation. We're not throwing them in a classroom for the most part. We do have some classroom stuff, but for the most part, it's a one-on-one conversation. It's getting all their questions answered and helping them to learn exactly what it is that the partnership does and all the pieces to it. They're going to get an opportunity to do outreach, and you'll see one of our participants. We have an event every year that's a hiring event and an educational event for folks that are transitioning out and their family members. And typically that hosts about 200 employers, and around 1,000 military members come to that. One of our folks was on board at just the right time to attend that, as will the person starting tomorrow. They'll get an opportunity to attend that. But we do a lot of different outreach inside and outside the gate, so they get to be a part of that and experience what that extra help looks like, what those walk-ups look like, what they're experiencing, and see that worry that comes with military transition. And this military transition, as Cami Feek said, our commissioner this morning, it's not just a career change, it's a life change. It's huge for military families, and anybody that's been through that understands. They'll get to actively participate in everything we do. Everything we do while they're there, they're in that room. So if it's a partner meeting, they're going to be in the room. If it's any other kind of meeting, a planning meeting, we do our best to get them in every room so they can experience as much as they can in 12 days. And we have another unique Worksource that sits inside on the campus of a VA medical facility. It's the only one in the state of Washington as well. So we got a lot of only ones. We're a little weird that way. So they, out at American Lake VA Medical Center, we have a couple folks out there that provide intensive services to folks that are going through not just employment barriers, but life barriers. A lot of them are going through homelessness programs, substance abuse programs, and other programs that the VA offers. So we have a couple folks out there. One of them's here today, John Joseph. He's probably not in the room. I don't see him, but he's on site. If you meet him, shake his hand. He's a hero. He's been doing this for about 28 years, but they serve folks that are going through those programs with the VA. So our participants get an opportunity to go out there and experience that for a day, and to hear those the stories of folks that have fallen on hard times and how our team works to take them back to better days. Next slide, please. So this is one of our graduates. This is Kurt. He was our first graduate of Operation Military Culture, and you'll see from his testimonial, and that's Joanne right there that I talked about a little earlier, our supervisor there. So she's awarding him his coin and his certificate for completing the program. And you'll see from his testimonial that for him it was all about giving back. He felt that the military had done so much for him and his family that this was an opportunity to give back. Even if it was for 12 days, he was able to carry that message back with him, and it impacted his career going forward. And we still hear from Kirk from time to time. Next slide, please. Our next graduate, I don't know who that goofy looking guy is on the left there, but somebody that walked in, obviously. So Deetra was our second graduate, and you can see from her testimonial that she really embraced what was going on there, and really embraced the mission that we have, and serving the soldiers, and just you could feel it sometimes when they're at the desk, and when she would be at the desk, you could just feel it, that she was just proud to be able to be doing the work that she was doing. And again, she carried that back to her office, and shares that with the other folks, and encourages them to come through Operation Military Culture as well. Next slide, please. And then our last graduate is Retta Barker, who sang the national anthem this weekend for us at an event that Ish and I were at. But just a beautiful person all around, and she's still with our agency as well. And it was funny because one of the things that she remembered most vividly was coming through the gates and talking to a soldier with a gun that met her at the gate to allow her to enter into the base and check her credentials and get her to work. So it's just these things that people don't realize. If you didn't serve in the military, these are things that you just don't know go on. Nobody knows what it's like inside that big mystery zone inside the gate of a military base unless you've been there. And this is our chance to be there. Next slide, please. So that's kind of Operation Military Culture in a nutshell, as far as what we do, how we do it, who we do it for. Ultimately, we do it for those service members and their families, but also for our counterparts outside the gate. And before I roll forward with what we see next, I just wanted to see if there were any questions in the room, because if we don't get enough questions to consume the hour. I get to pass the mic and you guys sing karaoke for us. So, who's,
My question was, I didn't understand it, but the people that volunteered that trained for the 12 days, where do they come from and who, I mean, how do they know about you and where do they come from? Within the Employment Security Agency or they have to work for Employment Security?
right now, but well, I'll talk about this in a second. Go Air Force, by the way. So, sorry, did that slip out? I'm sorry. So yes, right now they come from within our region. They come from our agency, but that's one of the things that we're looking at, and you'll see this on the screen, somewhere on the screen, on this slide. We're looking to possibly broaden this out because some of our partners have expressed an interest. I think it's a great opportunity for anybody, but we need to kind of figure out what that might look like and talk to our leadership because this is kind of a big undertaking that kind of takes away from our mission a little bit, but it also helps our mission because it advances the knowledge of the other people that are serving veterans and their families. So that's a possibility. That's one of the things we'd love to see on the horizon. We just have to see the feasibility of that. So it could open up. We'd love it to open up to more of our agency. I know I've had one regional director from this side of the mountains ask about it because they had somebody they wanted to get through as well. So it's in early stages, but we hope that it'll grow. And again, this doesn't have to be us. This could be anybody. If you're sitting in Spokane and you got Fairchild Air Force Base, there's some great resources that people could learn from there as well. So hopefully we've got people in the room that have influence on that. But great question. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Okay.
Wow, you feel powerful.
You have a radio voice. Can you sing? Yeah. Oh, wait, I think your mic just cut out.
Anyways, my name is Josh Lopez, and I'm with 99 Veteran Services. And coincidentally, I'm a Worksource affiliate partner for Pierce County
Yes,
at State Street. So my question to you is how does one become part of those partner meetings that you're having on JBLM?
Get my card, and we've been waiting for you guys to ask that question because we've participated in some of your events and things, and we know you're a partner in the downtown office and should be a partner in our office as well. So.
No, that's fantastic. No, I was just curious because I know I get a lot of referrals from Worksource, JBLM, through Pierce County's CRS system.
Yep.
So yeah, no, actually you answered it. I'll get you.
Yep. Yeah. We'll get you hooked up. Yeah, we've had two. You're the second of two new partners that we're bringing on board. Operation Military Family, Mike Schindler's nonprofit, it just came on board, and we've been hunting you guys as well. So I'm glad you asked that.
All right, I am Patrick Goldberg, Go Army.
Wait, your mic cut out.
Okay. I know you said you help veterans and their family. Now, is this going to only surround like on an active duty base, or can you expand outside of the base? Like, maybe like a reserve component, like people are in the National Guard or reserve unit?
Sure. Yeah.
And then, are you going to expand, like, you're in Pierce and Pierce County, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Are you guys going to expand down south, like Thurston County and such, like Lewis County?
We hope so, but we also hope, and the reason we do this is we hope that other people that are sitting inside those National Guard bases, those reserve bases, will say, hey, we could do something like this. We're hoping that other offices across the state will look at this. And people serving other populations, really, this is an immersion program. This, as I said earlier, this could serve any population. It just doesn't just have to be military, and it certainly doesn't have to just be our small team at JBLM. There are a lot of influencers in this room that have the power to make this happen in your own areas.
What you have in
Yes. Second.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm with Olympia Field Office, Division of Child Support.
Hmm?
Go Army, and I don't mean to fight. So I understand right now the partnerships are with like Worksource, those agencies. Are there any ideas of possibly expanding this so we can get some supervisors that are in charge of the hiring process? Because I've noticed with DCS, I was able to get on board in Thurston County, so I'm hoping to expand. But I also know a lot of our supervisors who make choices really have a hard time with, I wouldn't say military talk, but basically they don't really understand what we did in the military, no matter how much we can explain it to them. So I'd hope to be able to expand this so we can send like supervisors to get like a quick immersion to kind of see what this military life's like.
So that's one of our thoughts, and again, I got to run that through our leadership, but because this is again a big commitment. But yeah, that's one of our thoughts. And by the way, DCS is a partner under our umbrella there. Yeah, Michael and Matt. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I could see this happening somewhere down the road as capacity allows.
Like an hour drive. Well, Olympia's closer, so.
Yeah, and my boss here had a question before the rest of y'all had your hands up. So,
Thank you, Sam. This is fantastic. Real quickly, you mentioned that you're hoping others will be able to do this in other installations. If somebody wanted to start something like this, let's say in Kitsap, can they contact you for help setting it up?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've taken all the lumps on the head by this point. We've learned our lessons. We learned where the tough choices were, where we had to cut things out, put things in. So absolutely, and thank you. Yeah, we'd be glad to help anybody that wants to start this. Even if you're looking to do an immersion program in an area that we might not be familiar with, we can talk about what some possibilities might be and kind of what we learned with the population that we serve. But yeah, and that's our hope, is that this will just kind of take off, and we're not looking to have sub elements of our program. It's nothing like that. We're just trying to put the thoughts out there and get people thinking about it, and have them say, hey, this is a good way to get people familiar with what we do and to better serve the populations that we serve as a result.
So blah 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 Army, go Navy.
I started a really bad thing here.
Well, I'm actually from Naval Station Everett. I work at the Fleet and Family Support Center there, and we do work with Worksource in Snohomish County. And so that was kind of my question, the same, like, again, the Army. But we do have a very large Navy population in Snohomish County. We have the 3 bases. Like I work closely with Kitsap, Whidbey Island, and of course that's the Naval Station Everett. So I know you're talking about how, like people communicate differently, and if anybody else here is from the Navy, you understand that our language is even weirder than that of the Army's. So was there any colorful? Yeah, you ever like talk like a sailor? It's a real thing. But but are you looking at expanding into different services, because they're very different? Like the needs of a Navy family or Navy Navy veteran are going to be different from an Army veteran, just based on the way that they deploy, where they're coming from, and again, even just the way that they see the world is just everybody's a little off kilter. We know all that. all the different services have their own little quirks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of commonalities, but there are a lot of differences. Like the Navy has acronyms longer than the alphabet. But we have been having conversations with some of the Navy folks. You probably know Britt Feldman over your way. She's been in that room as well. So we're having these sorts of conversations, more of a presentation, I would say, than a decision-making conversation, but we're trying to help people understand what we do inside JBLM and how that might apply elsewhere. Not this specifically, but just in general. How do we better familiarize and get the resources where they need to be, whether that's our Navy bases or Army or go Air Force. Yeah. Yes. I say that again.
Go Army, Hua.
All right, shut that mic up.
Over at the Yakima Training Center, I had from the WANG, the Washington Army National Guard. They went ahead and reached out, and they reached out to Tri-Cities over to Worksource Yakima, and they were asking for services because they did a research and found out that there was a lot of unemployment going on, high unemployment ratio of National Guardsmen, and then there was a lot of National Guardsmen that went ahead and went to the sandbox. So there was active duty guys, and then there was traditional weekend warriors. I used to be I did that for 24 and a half years, so I know what that lifestyle is what about, and I know that they were asking for services, and now they're asking for services. And I did go ahead and get some of our partnerships from Yakima to go there during one of their weekend drills. So I was just wondering, is this something that as it keeps going, as I start engaging with them a little bit more on the weekend drills and during their annual training periods, is this something that I might be able to just ask in that may be able to work into your OMC also, or maybe, how I can go ahead and get that going?
Yeah, absolutely. And Otto's one of our heroes that just got an award yesterday. So doing great things over in the Yakima area. Thanks, Otto. Great question. And I could see this moving in many, many directions. Guard, active duty, I don't really think it matters. All these teams are serving our countries. All these people, these warriors are serving our countries. And anywhere this could go, we want to see it go there. So whether we're a part of that or whether they just take our idea and run with it, that would be great because we can learn from each other as they take it forward. So yeah, we're here to talk to anybody that's interested in doing something like this.
I think it's really important, Sam, to
I know you.
mention that.
Go Air Force.
Go Air Force, yes. I think it's really important to say that anyone that has access to the installation, Navy, Marines, National Guard, Reserve, they all come to the Worksource. And can you kind of tell them a little bit about how the partnership works? Because that's what makes it go. It's one team, one dream.
It is. It absolutely is. And Angela's was one of our amazing partners that just moved on to other opportunities. But she was heading up our USO partnership. So as I said, we're 7 partners, and we speak one language and we use one label. So when folks come through our doors, we don't say, I'm going to send you over to USO, I'm going to send you over to Curtin, I'm going to send you over to the State Department of Ed. We say, I'm going to send you over to one of our counterparts under the partnership that is also Worksource, because transition is intimidating, transition is scary, and the last thing you need to learn is 7 different organizations and what they do. You just want to know that you came in through one door and you got your needs
And we
served.
made sure that the words meant the same thing to everybody that said them and everyone that was receiving them. So defining our terms was one of the first things that we had to conquer, and it was always something we had to revisit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it made sense to a Navy person, an Army person, a Marine, so crayons and all. But it was really important that we were speaking one language to support the entire community that was coming into that office.
Yep. Well said. Yeah. We have one here, I've heard. Not in the room. I don't see him. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, JBLM is kind of a model. Not just the Worksource because we're the only one inside the gates of a military base, but also the TAP program, the Transition Assistance Program, is a model for the nation. It's been acknowledged time and again. Just a lot of out-of-the-box thinkers. The Career Skills Program is much more robust. Just all of their programs are more integrated with other programs and other partners than most places. So we do get people that come from the Navy. We had somebody coming from Italy that was separating just recently, came in to experience some of the services because they were planning on coming back to Washington State. So they flew over on their own dime from Italy to attend some of the transition stuff under the roof.
And that's not unusual.
No.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
hi, my name is Dave. I run the Veterans Resource Center at Eastern Washington University. So I'm on a college campus. So apologize if I use some higher ed terms, but I'm joint. I'm purple, by the way. So I support everybody.
Good. And we all do.
I'm green by nature. But I guess, can you share, or are you going to share maybe your curriculum on, because up front you just mentioned about terms and the way the military speaks. So if I bring anybody in that has no experience with the military, I like to plagiarize and steal ideas, although I can't do that in a classroom. But I mean, we do something similar on our campus about educating our faculty and staff about veterans. I'm just curious if you have a curriculum you could share, or what this person may do prior to shadowing, about training them in the terms, the words, the experiences.
Yeah.
Are you going to get to that?
Yeah, I can. If you could advance a slide, please, Seth. I'm stuck. I don't know.
The Navy guy has to help the Air Force guy.
Since he's helping me, I'll let that go. No. And I thank you for not using any big college words, because I would have had to ask for clarification. But yeah. One more. So this is kind of the lead in to what we do. This is the logistics I talked about. And as far as the curriculum, I can share that if anybody's interested. It's going to be unique to our partnership, but yeah, we can certainly share the curriculum they're getting. They're getting, before they even show up, we're giving them a translation tool that talks about some of the common terms that they're going to hear and things like that. So, and then as they progress, a lot of what they're going to get is going to be that one-on-one. So a lot of it isn't spelled out as they get out and meet the partners. What happens at our front desk, I mean, is very specific to what we do. But if there's anything, I'll share as much as you want to see. But a lot of it you may say, well, that's not applicable to me. But we do something similar, maybe. So, yep, yeah, absolutely. Grab my card and shoot me an email. And we're not holding anything. Nothing's top secret. So, yeah. Nancy, and then the lady there. Thanks, Seth.
Who's the first one?
First of all, I'd like to say go Marines. And second of all, Sam, I think this is an outstanding idea, and I can't wait to bring it back to Kitsap Worksource. So thank you for coming up with this. I am so sold on this, and I think it's going to help educate a lot of our staff and our partners. So thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And that means a lot coming from you. We go way back, and I know Nancy's somebody that's really serious about the work that she does and has been doing it for a minute. So thank you.
Hi, this is Aminatis Malzuri. I'm a social worker here working for DSHS here in Spokane. So we serve a lot of TANF clients, and I know earlier you mentioned that. So the TANF clients, we partner with Worksource. Do they have to be a veteran or veteran family to receive the services?
So to participate in the Operation Military Culture, our goal is to have them not be a veteran or a veteran family member, because those are the people that would benefit the most from getting this immersion type experience. So yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what you're asking. What else? Who's going to sing karaoke? Oh, he's volunteering for karaoke. I saw it.
For those that don't know what TANF is, because I work on the other side of DSHS, TANF is temporary, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's temporary assistance for needy families. And if they go on that, then the other party has to probably see me, which is the child support side of the house. But if you didn't know what that term was, that's a term that just remember that's how a lot of civilians see us. When I say I did PT today, and they're like, "You did what?" I lie because I don't do PT. I'm tired. That's beside the point. Anyways, just one example. Not trying to throw her on the bus. She's my counterpart.
Yeah, thank you. And again, a lot of you are doing programs that are different from the services that we provide. Think about this from that lens. What could you do to set up an immersion into that program? Maybe you're doing homeless services, and maybe you want your partners that are also serving your community to have a better understanding of what it's like for that homeless person, what their experience is like, or maybe it's reentry, or maybe it's low-income folks. Anything you can do, I think, to immerse the people who are doing the work, that are providing the services outside of your own organization, or maybe it's in a partner in the community, maybe it's a homeless shelter. You could set up something like this. This is not, it's not a veteran specific idea. It's just an idea that could help with any population and with probably any of our organizations in this room.
Why don't you describe the partners, because it does include DSHS and.
It does. Yeah, we have two parts of DSHS within our partnership. We've got child support, and we've also got a benefits specialist who gets people in touch with all the other benefits offered. Yeah, whether it's DVR, whether it's the Department of Oak Rehab, or food and cash assistance and things like that, medical. Yeah.
This is, we kind of work opposite sides, but together with clients. So.
Yeah, and that's what's important, and that's what we say. That's one of our mottos is no wrong door. So whether somebody stops at your doorstep or stops at ours, we understand one another's missions. And we all get out in forums like this and we brief each other's missions pretty regularly. What else? What's the other questions before we go to karaoke?
I just advanced to the acronym.
Yep. So there's one of the tools. This is what they get before they even show up. This is kind of like some of the 101 training. So, then, yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about, but I think they may be napping next door or something. Thank you, Seth. Yes, sir.
I'm Bruce. I'm from the Moses Lake office and CVSR. But these common acronyms and probably some of the other lessons that you've learned from the civilians coming on to Joint Base Lewis McChord, that might actually make a good program for your AJC front staff. You have enough veterans at the AJCs that we could actually teach the program. That would help us out so that we don't have that loss between the AJC front staff and your DPOPs.
Thank you, Bruce. And CVSR is Consolidated Vet Services Representatives. So they serve veterans with barriers to employment, and Bruce is one of our warriors that does that work. But they also serve employers to help them get the talent from the military. So he's doing a pretty big job. So great question. And we are working on a course right now that you mentioned it, called Military Skills Translation. So it's not just verbiage, but it's how to get into that interview and have that two-way conversation, what that looks like, how to research for that, how to translate your skills in a way that's meaningful to a civilian employer. So we are working on that. Yep. Hopefully it'll launch in the coming months. We've had a couple of restarts, just my boss pulls me in too many directions, and then it impacts the whole team, and yeah. What else? It's nice to have the microphone, and he'll get even or
Alex
more.
with SSVF. I'm curious where the funding source is for this, and then do you have, are you guaranteed funding through a certain date?
So there is no funding source. This is out of Hyde. As far as the folks that come to take part in the program, their own offices pay for their travel. So it's minimal. It's typically just mileage so far until people start coming from Spokane. That's on the organization themselves or the office themselves to fund that.
I think Sam is being very humble when he says there's no cost. I think the cost is to Sam and his team, right? Because they're donating their time not just to build this curriculum and to basically train those 12 days and to make sure that all the logistics are done in advance. So yes, there is an investment by the team at JBLM, and yes, they are funded to provide workforce services, but they just added this on top of their work because they found it to be very important.
Thank you, sir. And to Ish's point, yes, it's important to our work, but it's also important to the folks that are going to see the service members that we see when they come outside the gate. We want that experience to continue. Hopefully they'll have a job before they get out the gate because we help them get that. But if they don't, we want to make sure that we're handing them off to folks like yourselves and people that have had the opportunity, if they've never experienced military culture, to be able to have that conversation and to establish that level of trust with the service member or their family member.
Thank you. We've talked a lot about our veterans and becoming employed. How about the employers? What's some of the work that you and your team are doing with employers to make them even more vet friendly?
So we do quite a bit with employers. We're a small team, but so we rely on our downtown office to do a lot of that. We have a local veterans employment representative down there that's out there meeting with employers in their own job sites and so forth, with their recruiters and encouraging them to hire veterans, talking to them about developing a workforce that's inclusive of veterans and military families. But inside the gates, we're regularly hosting different events. We have the State Veterans Employee Resources Group, which is all the state agencies participating in one affinity group for veterans. We're just launching a new partnership with them where we've had it before, but they're going to be back in our building. That was pre-COVID. They were in there. They were doing panels, and then behind that panel, they would do a hiring event. So we're getting that back up and running. So we're doing what we can with the small team we have, but we do lean heavily on the business services team that's outside the gate. We have a very, very tight partnership in Pierce County and across our region with the other offices. Because veterans and job seekers in general and employers as well don't necessarily recognize the boundaries that we establish in the workforce system. Workforce development areas, counties, cities, everybody blends. So we work together.
So is the AJC testing, there we go. So is the AJC at JBLM, is that a military owned from JBLM, or is it Worksource?
American Job Center. Yes. So yeah, it's part of the nationwide network. In Washington, we call them Worksource offices. We have 31 offices, I believe. 31 large offices and 16 small offices, affiliates, and connection sites. In about 2,300 across the nation. So we're part of a bigger network, and I'm glad you asked that question. So we're part of the same Worksource network as the ones that you see in your communities and across the nation. One of the things that we do as a team is we do warm handoffs to any of those locations. As I said earlier, about 52% of the people who leave our bases go back to another state. I don't know why, but some people want to leave Washington for one reason or another. Maybe they want to go home. But we'll connect them with resources where they're going. We'll help them up to the point that they leave or up to the point that they don't need our services anymore. Then we'll connect them with one of those other 2,299 job centers across the nation. What else? So yeah, so this is, I always throw in some backup slides in case we run short, which I don't think we're running short, but this is a little bit about Worksource JBLM, some of the things that we live by. These are cultural terms that we use a lot. I talked about, I don't know if I talked about, no hats, no logos. Essentially, when somebody comes in, they're seeing Worksource, whether it's any of the 7 partners, 8 partners, including us. Any of the 8 partners, they're seeing Worksource. If they get referred, we're walking them down the hall and taking them and introducing them to the other partner as our teammate, not as another organization, even though structurally they may be another organization. No wrong door. I talked about that. Everyone's in charge. We're a strong partnership because we don't have that bully organization. We may be the largest organization in the partnership. That doesn't mean that we have the best ideas. So everybody contributes, and everybody contributes on equal ground. Everybody wins. Everything is customer centric. We have a pretty unique set of sub teams that are across the partnership, starting with our continuous quality improvement team, which is the folks that are doing the work at the ground level. They come up with the best ideas because they know what we do better than the rest of us. So, and then from there, it goes up to our operations team that works on our service delivery and integrates that, and then leadership team and so on. So we're pretty unique in how we develop around our customers, and everything we build is around that. And then our culture defines our success. We like to say that you can teach people the technical pieces, but you can't teach culture. That comes from here. What else? Any volunteers for karaoke? Any thoughts, comments, ideas? Something we could do differently? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm with SSVF as well. And you keep talking about your 7 partners. There's 8 partners altogether, correct?
Yes.
Who are your 7 partners?
So employment security, and that's supportive services for veterans families. Yes. So acronyms are just all over.
That's great, right?
They are. Yeah. So it's employment security department. Career team does our retraining services, what we call Title I services in the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. Operation Good Jobs through Goodwill, USO transition program, the State Department of Veterans Affairs, and DSHS. We have 2 pieces of DSHS in the partnership. The Army transition program, and I'm missing somebody. I feel bad. I got Goodwill. Oh, yes, thank you. That's our Title I partners back there. Help me out. So yeah, our smallest partner is 1 person, and it's military service to education program. So what they do is they connect, and I'll explain their mission because I owe it to them for forgetting them. But what they do is when the service members within 6 months of getting out, they can attend short-term training through one of the 7 career and technical colleges within 25 miles of JBLM. So thank you, Britt. Any other questions? Any karaoke singers? How we doing on time? Oh, here's some more facts about JBLM. I told you I got backup slides. Just so we talked about the Worksource JBLM being the only American Job Center inside the gates of a military base. We launched that in 2017. We did the ribbon cutting in July of 2017. It's been a big success. And there's some other states testing the theory. Fort Campbell out in Kentucky is trying it, and Fort Bliss with the Army down in Texas is also. We're the 4th largest military base in the nation, and I said we exit about 5,000, 7,000 a year, and almost half of those stay in our state. And this last one's a big figure. The Joint Base Lewis McChord and the population that works there contributes $12 billion to the local economy, and that's Thurston and Pierce counties alone. And it extends well beyond that. So, not only is the base important because of the mission it does to preserve our nation's defense, but it's also important because it contributes to our state and our communities. So, important stuff. Stop finding slides, Seth. forgot about these ones because we never get to them because we always consume the time. So I'll put some of my cards out up here, or if you want to come up and talk and ask any questions, or if you think of something later, we're looking for ideas. We get a lot of ideas out of this as well. We've made some switches in direction in the past when we first launched this and started talking to audiences like this who said, why don't you try this? Or why don't you do that? Or do you talk about this? And we're like, oh yeah, that's important. So don't hesitate to reach out if you've got questions. If you're looking to launch something like this, if you're looking to participate with, we'd have to have a discussion around what that entails. And we're very open-minded about this. We tend to take innovative approaches to the services we provide. So there may be at some point, maybe we're going to do a tour and we bring people in for a one-day immersion in a bigger team environment. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. These are conversations I'd have to have with our own leadership to see, what the feasibility is, and, do we stretch our resources at them? But we want to make a difference. We want to make a difference for each of your organizations, for what happens in our communities, and for the folks that are seeing us and coming out to see you. And most of you are probably not the recipients of this type of training, but I know there's people in your offices, in your organizations that could probably benefit from it. So reach out, connect with us. We want to talk to you. We want to help you. We want to take care of the folks that we all serve.